They told you size is everything. They told you that if you weren't born with a certain number on a tape measure, your confidence in the bedroom was doomed. But here's the truth most men never hear. Girth only wins when your body can actually send blood there, keep it there, and when your partner feels safe, connected, and relaxed with you. Without that foundation, numbers are just numbers. I'm Dr. Susan Parker, and my work is focused on men's vitality and intimate well-being in midlife and beyond. In this session, I want to walk you through a very different way of looking at girth. Not as a lottery ticket you either have or don't, but as the visible result of something much más importante: your circulation, your nervous system, your daily habits, and the emotional climate you creas con tu pareja. Girth wins, but only if you do the right things first. And none of those things require perfection, expensive procedures, or becoming a different person. They require understanding your own biology and treating it like an ally instead of an enemy. Let's start by naming the problem honestly. Many men in their 40s, 50s, 60s y más viven con una mezcla de presión y silencio. On one side, you see unrealistic images online that glorify only one kind of body and one kind of anatomy. On the other side, you feel real-world signals from your body. Energy that doesn't last como antes, a waistline that crept outward with the years, tension related to work, money, or family, and a quiet worry that your intimate life is not as strong or as reliable as it was. You might notice that sometimes the firmness you expect no lega con la misma seguridad, or it doesn't last as long as you want. Maybe you've even avoided certain situations because you're afraid of disappointing someone. When that happens, the mind often busca unculpable, and the easiest target is girth. If I were thicker, none of this would be a problem. That thought feels logical, but it's incomplete. Because what most men truly want is not a number. It's reliability, connection, and the feeling of being fully present and fully accepted in intimate moments. Girth by itself cannot give you that. In fact, without the right foundation, chasing girth can actually raise your anxiety and make performance less consistent. So what is girth really from a health perspective? It's not just bigness. It's the degree to which the erectile tissue in your body can fully fill with blood, expand outward, and then stay engorged with the right balance between inflow and outflow. That expansion depends on your arteries' ability to open, your veins' ability to gently hold back blood, the flexibility of the tissue itself, the tone of the muscles at the base of the pelvis, and the signals your nervous system is sending in that moment. When all of those things are working together, your natural potential is expressed. When one or more are compromised, the result is less fullness, less firmness, and less confidence. That's why the first thing you must do has nothing que ver con medir, compararte o buscar trucos rápidos. The first thing is to create conditions where your blood vessels, your pelvic floor, and your nervous system can actually support the kind of fullness you're hoping for. Think of it this way. Girth is like the brightness of a light bulb. But the first job is not to buy a stronger bulb. It's to make sure the wiring, the switch, and the power source are all working. If the circuit is weak, even the best bulb looks dim. Let's talk about that wiring in plain language. Blood vessels are lined by a delicate layer called the endothelium. When you move your body regularly, especially in ways that gently challenge your heart and legs, the blood flows more smoothly and creates a healthy friction against that lining. In response, your body produces more of a molecule called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide tells the muscles in your blood vessel walls to relax, which allows more blood to enter and creates the conditions for fuller, more responsive erections. When you spend years sitting, smoking, eating heavily processed foods, and living under constant stress, that lining becomes less responsive. The signal weakens. The result is not just about your heart or your brain, it shows up también en tu vida íntima. This is why, in my view, the first move before obsessing over girth is very simple. Restore blood flow habits. One of the most powerful and underrated tools you have is walking. Not extreme workouts, not punishing programs. Walking. If you can build a routine of walking at a comfortable but purposeful pace for 10 to 15 minutes after 1 or 2 meals each day, you are sending a daily message to your arteries. Stay flexible. Respond open when I need you. Over time, this lowers blood sugar spikes, supports healthier blood pressure, and improves endothelial function. You are essentially laying the vascular foundation on which Girth can actually win. Look at it from another angle. There are 2 Girths that matter, the one most men talk about, and the one almost nobody likes to mention, your waist circumference. The more weight you tend to carry around the middle, especially visceral fat around the organs, the more your body produces inflammatory signals and hormones that work against healthy blood flow and healthy testosterone levels. That doesn't mean you need to be thin to be desirable, but it does mean that shaving a few centimeters off your waistline through sustainable habits often does more for your intimate confidence than any gadget promising miracles. In a quiet way, a slightly smaller waist girth helps the other girth do its job. Now, circulation is only one part of the story. The second big piece is your pelvic floor, the group of muscles at the base of your pelvis that act like a sling supporting your organs and playing a key role in urinary control and erection quality. When these muscles are weak and disconnected, blood has a harder time staying where you want it. When they're overly tense, they can actually restrict blood flow and create discomfort. The goal is not squeeze as hard as you can. The goal is intelligent control, the ability to contract gently when needed, and to relax fully when it's time to let blood fill the tissue. A very simple way to start reconnecting with your pelvic floor is through brief, controlled contractions during the day. Imagine you're trying to stop the flow of urine for 1 or 2 seconds, then releasing completely. You don't have to do this in the bathroom. You can do it sitting at your desk or while waiting in line. The key is to avoid holding your breath or tightening your abdomen and buttocks. You're training a subtle, deep layer of muscle. A few sets of gentle pulses, combined with moments where you consciously relax that whole area and breathe into your lower abdomen, create a better baseline for blood to be trapped effectively when you're aroused. The third element that decides whether Girth wins or not is your nervous system. Many men believe their intimate challenges are purely mechanical. In reality, the body is constantly listening to the question, "Am I safe right now?" If your stress levels are high, if you feel judged, rushed, or fearful of failing, your brain often responds by diverting blood away from the pelvis toward the large muscles used for defense: legs, chest, shoulders. It's a survival reflex. No matter what your anatomy looks like, a nervous system stuck in fight or flight will sabotage fullness and reliability. This is why learning to regulate stress is not a luxury. It's part of intimate health. You don't need an hour of meditation to start changing things. Even 5 minutes of slow, steady breathing can shift the way your nervous system responds. Try this simple pattern once or twice a day. Inhale gently through your nose for 4 seconds. Exhale softly for 6 seconds, and repeat for a few minutes. You're telling your heart and your brain that it's okay to leave survival mode. When you use this kind of breathing before intimate moments, you're giving your body permission to send blood back where you actually want it. The fourth pillar might surprise you, but it's one of the strongest predictors of satisfaction for both partners: emotional connection and communication. Men are often told that geometry matters more than empathy, presence, or listening. The research says otherwise. When a partner feels heard, respected, and not rushed, their body responds with more openness, more lubrication, and more comfort. That state of safety amplifies the effect of whatever girth you naturally have. On the other hand, if someone feels pressured, compared, or invisible, no amount of circumference can create genuine satisfaction. So what does "do this first" really mean in the context of girth? It means this: before worrying about changing your dimensions, build a foundation in 4 areas. First, give your blood vessels a daily reason to stay young, through walking, better food choices, and avoiding tobacco. Second, reconnect with your pelvic floor so your body can hold blood where it counts. Third, train your nervous system to leave emergency mode and enter a state of calm readiness. Fourth, cultivate emotional safety and communication in your relationship so your partner's body can meet you halfway. Let's make this practical. Imagine a man in his 50s. We'll call him Mark. Mark has spent years comparing himself to what he sees online. He's convinced that his only option is to hope his partner won't notice or care. In reality, his blood pressure is a little high. He sits most of the day, and he often goes to bed tense, scrolling his phone. When he shifts his focus, something changes. Instead of asking, "How do I add centimeters?" he starts asking, "How do I support blood flow, relax my nervous system, and show up differently with my partner?" He begins walking briskly for 12 minutes after dinner, cutting back on cigarettes, doing gentle pelvic floor pulses twice a day, and practicing slow breathing at night. He also starts talking more abiertamente with his partner about stress and connection, instead of hiding behind jokes. No part of Mark's anatomy magically transforms overnight. But within weeks, he notices his morning erections feel a little fuller and more consistent. He feels lighter climbing stairs. His partner comments that he seems more present, less distracted. They laugh mas. He still has the same basic structure he always had, but now his body can use it. His natural girth is finally supported by the wiring it needed all along. This is what I mean cuando digo que girth wins, but only if you do this first. You might be wondering about food and supplements. There is no magic pill, but there are patterns that help the same endothelium we talked about. Meals that emphasize vegetables, legumes, whole grains, and healthy fats support nitric oxide production and protect blood vessels. Fruits like berries and citrus, and foods like beetroot and pomegranate juice contain compounds that assist vascular function. Moderate use of these foods as part of a balanced diet, alongside walking, can create a noticeable shift in how responsive your circulation feels. Before trying any supplement that claims to boost male performance, it's wise to hablar con un profesional de salud que conozca tu historial, but building the basics of food, movement, sleep, and stress always comes first. Sleep deserves its own moment here. Testosterone, tissue repair, and vascular health are all strongly influenced by how well you sleep. Short, fragmented nights quietly drain your capacity for desire and your ability to maintain fullness. Setting a consistent bedtime, dimming screens an hour before sleep, and using those slow breathing exercises can significantly improve the depth of your rest. Over time, better sleep means more stable hormones, more energy, and a stronger foundation for everything else we're talking about. Another overlooked factor is how you talk to yourself about your body. Many men carry silent shame about their size or performance. That shame increases anxiety, and anxiety constricts blood flow. It becomes a loop. Breaking that loop means changing the script in your head from, "I'm not enough," to "I'm actively supporting my health." Every time you choose to walk after a meal, to cook something a bit healthier, to practice your breathing, you are building evidence of competence. That evidence slowly replaces fear with grounded confidence. And confidence, expressed as calm kindness rather than arrogance, is one of the most powerful signals of attractiveness that exists. Let's also touch on the role of your partner. Intimacy is not a performance for an audience. It's a co-created experience. When you start talking gently and honestly about what you both enjoy, what feels comfortable, and what worries you, you lower the pressure on yourself and on them. That shared vulnerability often leads to more experimentation within each person's comfort zone, more laughter, and less focus on perfection. In ese contexto, girth becomes just one ingredient in a much richer recipe, rather than the entire meal. You may ask, but what if I'm already doing many of these things and still feel insecure about my girth? In that case, it helps to remember that perception is complex. Studies show that partners often care far more about warmth, attentiveness, and how they feel during and after intimacy than about exact measurements. If you've built a strong foundation and still struggle with your body image, speaking with a therapist who understands men's health and relationships can be incredibly freeing. Sometimes the biggest shift comes not from changing the body, but from healing the beliefs you've carried for decades. On the other hand, if you are at the beginning of this journey, I invite you to start with one small commitment. For the next 3 weeks, focus on this simple protocol. Walk for 10 to 15 minutes after at least one meal per day. Perform 2 or 3 sets of gentle pelvic floor pulses morning and evening. Practice 5 minutes of slow breathing once a day. And choose one small way to be more emotionally present with your partner. Maybe turning off your phone during dinner or asking a deeper question and really listening. That's it. No drastic diets, no harsh deadlines. Just 4 signals repeated daily to your vessels, your muscles, your nervous system, and your relationship. After those 3 weeks, observe. How is your energy? How is your sleep? How do your morning erections feel? How does your partner react to the new quality of your presence? You're not looking for perfection, you're looking for direction. If the arrow is pointing toward more vitality, more calm, and more connection, you're on the right path, and you can build from there. At this point, you might see the pattern clearly. Girth wins not because it magically appears, but because everything around it is aligned. Your heart, your vessels, your muscles, your breathing, your habits, your words, and your attention. When those pieces fall into place, your natural anatomy can finally do what it was designed to do, and the focus shifts from, am I big enough? To, am I showing up fully, for myself and for the person que está conmigo? I want to leave you with one simple sentence to remember. Girth is not your starting point. It is your side effect. It is the visible outcome of choices that support your circulation, your nervous system, your confidence, and your relationship. When you take care of those, you give yourself the best chance for Girth to win in a way that actually matters, in real life, con una persona real, en momentos reales. If this perspective resonated with you, let it be the beginning of a different relationship with your body. Instead of chasing numbers, start building foundations. Walk after your meals. Breathe deeper. Reconnect with your pelvic floor. Sleep better. Talk con más honestidad. And treat yourself with a little more respect. Your body is still capable of learning, adapting, and responding, no matter you're a dad. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you want to keep explorando hábitos naturales, longevidad y bienestar íntimo masculino de una forma clara y sin tabúes, stay with this channel. Share this message with someone who needs it. And, above all, start with one small change today. Your future self and your future intimate moments will thank you for it.